Our chief correspondent, Kaveh Solokol, is here with some breaking news now on Salah's future. And Kaveh, we've been asking, haven't we, where Salah might go. Does Saudi Arabia still look like the likeliest option?
Definitely, clubs in Saudi Arabia want to sign Mo Salah, but they need a clear indication from him that he is ready to make the move. The optics of this have to be right. I think we've moved on from the stage where Saudi Arabian clubs come along, make big bids for players, offer them crazy money as salary. I think things have got to be done quietly behind closed doors. So if Mo Salah's representatives tell the senior officials in the Saudi Pro League, Mo wants to come to Saudi Arabia, I guarantee you that move will happen. But up until now, they have not received that information from people close to Mo Salah. It's been well documented that in the past 2 years, Saudi Arabian clubs have tried to sign him, but he has always, in the final instance, said, I'm not ready to make the move yet. I still believe that I'm good enough to play at the highest level in European football.
Just how much of a coup would it be for the Saudi Arabian League to get him? And I know you say that it's not quite like how it used to be in terms of finances, but would they pretty much pay him anything he wants?
I don't think they would pay him anything he wants, but he would be seen as a dream signing. Look, throughout Africa, throughout the Arab world, he is seen as somebody who can show what Arab and African footballers can do, what they can achieve at the highest level. And any move to Saudi Arabia would not just be significant for Saudi Arabia, it would also be significant for the Arab world. I've been told by senior officials in Saudi Arabia that Mo Salah coming to play in the SPL would be seen as a homecoming for him. It would be a massive story in the whole of Asia and also in Africa. For what it's worth, I think it's only a matter of time before Mo Salah plays in the SPL. But as I've said, it has to be him making the first move and saying, OK, I'm done with European football. I'm done with the Premier League. I'm done with the Champions League. I want to move with my family to Saudi Arabia. Your second point about them putting, big money in front of him, I think we've moved on slightly from there. I think the feeling in Saudi Arabia at the moment is if you're a footballer and you want to come and play in the SPL, you have got to want to come and live and work in Saudi Arabia as well. We're not going to almost sort of bribe you by giving you lots of money. You have got to want to come here as well, because we believe the quality of life in Saudi Arabia is better than the quality of life in Europe. That's what they think.
Which are the likeliest clubs perhaps to sign him?
Well, look, I think all the clubs in the SPL would want him. I think the likeliest clubs, well, Al Ittihad, based in Jeddah, Karim Benzema plays for them. They're the champions. They've tried to sign Mo Salah in the past. 2 years ago, they made a very, very late verbal offer of around £150 million for him. But I think that offer was so late that there was very little chance of that deal being done. A couple of months ago, when it looked like he could be leaving Liverpool, Al Hilal were interested in signing him as well. Really interestingly, though, my information is earlier this year, there were talks about Mo Salah moving to rival clubs in the Premier League and also in Europe as well. So perhaps that tells you that he feels himself that he's not quite ready yet to move to Saudi Arabia.
Well, he's been benched for the last 3 matches, hasn't he? So we've not seen him feature as much as we would have done in recent time. This is quite an interesting graphic. It looks at Liverpool with and without Salah starting matches. And actually, the win rate is marginally better. They've scored more goals per game. But this is a very, very small upgrade, I guess, in terms of the form we've seen when Salah's not starting compared to when he is starting. But saying that, we know that he's going to be out until pretty much mid-January if he doesn't play against Brighton this weekend, because if Egypt progress in the AFCON, we won't see him for a period of time. So Liverpool already planning for life without him, because he's into the last 18 months of his contract and he is slowly fading as a force, perhaps, as we've seen in the Premier League so far this season. But we still know Mohamed Salah on his day is one of the best players that the Premier League has ever seen.
Right, Arne Slot there. Let me just get this quote right. Does the player know he's made a mistake? Should the initiative come from me or him? Now, he's not quite calling for Salah to apologise, but is that the only way back for an apology from the player?
Yeah, he's destroying his legacy. his behaviour in the last 4 or 5 days and everything that's happened, and even yesterday where he's putting a picture up about himself in the gym without even a good luck to the boys tonight in the game when he hasn't really posted anything for 6 weeks. Slot, the football club, are entirely correct on this, the way they've handled it. And if I were the player and his agent, really one choice. It's apologise or move on. And if you move on, and this is the last action as a Liverpool player, what's that going to do to your legacy? It's wrong. What he's done is so wrong. And the timing and everything around it, the pressure he's put on the manager, his teammates, the club, when they're at a low point, I'd almost say he's kicked them while they're down. And last night was brilliant from the players and the manager's handled it fantastic in that press conference. Fair play to him.
How would you have dealt with it as an owner on Saturday night when he gave that interview?
I'd have been furious.
It was huge. It was big news around the world football. But if you're the owner, what would you have thought?
I'd have already been emotional about Leeds' equaliser. So rage would have been inside you. And then to see that from one of your players doing the same thing he did during when he wanted his new contract, basically being very clever in that media zone or wherever he was, when you haven't heard from him for weeks while Liverpool have been struggling. It's not that I'm best friends with Jamie Carragher, but I have a lot of respect for him, the job he does. Everything he said the other day on Sky and even last night during the Champions League, he's absolutely correct. You know, what Mo Salah's done is, particularly the timing of it, and particularly after that Leeds game, and my question to him would be, would you have done that if Liverpool had won the game? I don't think so. So I'm losing respect for him day by day, and he really needs to come out, apologise, say he had a bad moment. It's not about him, it is about the team. What a fantastic... Would have been great last night, and I don't know if he did, if he posted something about the win. I mean, fair play to his teammates. Fair play to Slop, is the pressure he was under last night. Can you imagine if they'd gone to the San Siro and got hammered 3-0? Can you imagine what we'd be talking about today and the headlines and the pressure on the manager? A manager has won 50 of his first 80 games at Liverpool. He was won a league title in his first year. I mean, what are we doing? So as owner, I would have backed the manager. I would 100%, even if I was unhappy with my manager, I don't see any of my players act in that manner. Whether it's the Premier League, League One, Championship, League Two, conference, it's so unprofessional. I heard Thierry Henry talk about it yesterday, that throughout his career he had issues with Guardiola or Wenger. We didn't know about it because he was protecting the club. He might have been unhappy, take it up with a manager, deal with a manager. And that's one of the great legends of the game right there speaking. So no, I'm not happy as a fan, as an owner, of that behaviour.
I mean, listen, Jamie, if we're going to talk about this result, not a particularly enjoyable game for any of us to watch, but I guess you get some positive momentum.
Wow.
Some positive momentum and a win is all that matters.
Yeah, listen, listen, it wasn't the most entertaining of games, I have that, but it felt like a big heavyweight European game, no inch given from either side. I think Liverpool just shaded it, not just because of the results, I think because, just in general play as well. I think even in the second half, considering they were away from home. But I said before the game, I was so desperate for the Liverpool to win tonight, as I am, as you know, every time Liverpool play, but more so for the manager, for what he's been through in the last sort of few days. I don't know him that well, got no real relationship with him, but he's the Liverpool manager. We know what's going on, we don't need to go into that. But I think what was really telling was that supporters chanting his name. Not when it went 1-0 in the first half, when it was 0-0. The supporters who go home and away to watch Liverpool know the score about what's gone on the last few days, and they're right behind their manager, and even more so on the back of that result, because that was a massive result. They're a very tough place to go, and Liverpool needed that on the back of losing the last game in the Champions League at home to PSV. Liverpool have done well to control Inter Milan at home, really, and we stopped them getting chances. I think this was the best chance of the game. Goalkeeper does well. Listen, it's a tight angle, Michael. You've probably been in those positions as a right back and probably missed it like him as he comes through. You see he's onside in that position there. It's a tight angle.
But this is what the game hinged on. This penalty appeal.
No. I think I'd be very disappointed if this went against me or my team.
You'd be saying it's a disgrace.
No. What I would say is that I don't think that's a penalty. But if I was an Inter Milan player or the manager, I'd say, what are you doing grabbing his shit? Even making it, giving the referee a decision to make. I don't think it's a penalty. But just don't pull his shirt. It's not like you're pulling him back because he's going through to the goal. He's got his back to goal. He's going nowhere. So he's only got himself to blame there, but I do think it was a little bit harsh.
What a result that is, as we welcome viewers from TNT Sports 1 and 2 to our roundup of tonight's Champions League action. That was, more than needed, wasn't it, for Arne Slot and his beleaguered Liverpool team? And you can see on your screen behind us. Champions League away win without Mohamed Salah, the first since November 2009. Maybe, ironically enough, that was Jamie Carragher's last ever Champions League match for the club. Interesting. Does that change things for team, manager, players there, players not there?
At the weekend, haven't they?
Yeah.
You know, I think that system worked tonight with the two strikers, with a diamond. And Szoboszlai took the penalty. I'm sure if Mo Salah would have been there, he'd probably taken the penalty. So again, the system worked. And as a manager, when you've made a huge decision like that, not to take, you know, your star player, one of your star players, to a game in a Champions League game away from home, if it was 0-0, do you bring Salah on? To leave him at home to get a result as a manager, you know, there's a little bit of relief, because if they'd lost that game, you know, would there be questions asked?
Well, there would, wouldn't there?
Of course there would be. So, you know, the manager there will be thinking, do you know what? My players have done it for me in a difficult place to go. I think that's their first defeat, Jules, in 18, is it?
Yeah.
Another
At home in the Champions League.
Home in the Champions League, which is a goal
thing
there. And Ekatike and Isak up front together, the two, you know, that's a good system. You know, that's a good system for Liverpool.
I think it's like inside forwards. I think you're playing against a five. I think it was difficult for Inter Milan to know what their wing-backs' roles were, because they were being pinned back a little bit because of the width they had. McAllister back involved again. I think it's important he finds his form. When he really sort of switches in, Szoboszlai is an amazing player. I think he's been their standout player. Conor Bradley come off the bench and looked really good. I think he is going to be the future. Gomez is just sort of filled in for now. That's an exceptional result. That's 3 years since they lost a game there. So in a Champions League, that's pretty impressive to go in there.
Wirtz also came off the bench and effectively wins the penalty that you I think all three think is soft, to use the vernacular.
Yeah, but if you're actually working with Bastoni, if you're working for the Inter Milan team and you're on the defensive coach, you're saying, look, why are you doing it? Why are you pulling his shirt? Just don't give them an opportunity to go down. We know it's a bit soft, but it's a penalty. He shouldn't be pulling his shirt. Just not necessary.
But in the game we were watching earlier, somebody booted somebody and you said it wasn't a penalty.
No, that was different because he put his foot. It was Minamino who puts his foot, doesn't he, across his opponent and draws.
No doubt about the pen there, was it, from Szoboszlai? That was convincing.
It was good. He was playing in that three with Jones and Gravenberch in the diamond that Robbie was talking about, with McAllister the highest. But McAllister struggled deeper to play with Gravenberch in the double pivot. This time was better. There was a more fluidity. It was not really maybe the diamond per se. It was a sort of diamond with a bit of fluidity for the three, but it worked. They were more balanced, certainly. A bit more of control at times. It'd be interesting to see if he does the same against Brighton at the weekend in the Premier League, because I think Salah won't play and he might have the opportunity to do that again.
Not many, I think, Liverpool players have been blameless all season. Dom Szoboszlai, probably the only one. Here he is, post-match.
Dominic, it's good to see smiles tonight. You were able to put aside all the problem of the last days, and you play a very good game, and you deserve the win tonight.
Yeah, that's our job. To perform on the pitch and don't think what is going on outside of the pitch, and that's what we did today, and we take the 3 points.
I repeat, how do you make to put aside all the events, Mo, and the results?
Because that's our job. It's not always up, it's also sometimes down. That's like a roller coaster. Also, sometimes you lose a game, sometimes you win a game, and today we managed to win it with the penalty. And a clean sheet, so that's the most important.
Usually we said we recognize the big player, the boss in crisis situation, and tonight, but also in the last days, you seem the boss of the team tonight and this season.
It's a tricky word, because the boss is the coach. The boss is the coach. I try to do my best on the pitch and out of the pitch, try to help as much as I can. Also the new players, also maybe the players who are longer here. But that's our job, to help each other, to be bigger as a team, work hard, and at the end you're gonna get the result like that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
It's a big result, and he did play, if you like, in that part of the pitch that has so long been Salah's. Is it the end of the road for Salah at Liverpool?
Listen, he's going to the AFCON, isn't he? It's after the game on Saturday.
Yeah.
Will he be involved Saturday? Who knows? But that performance, we'll say probably not. Listen, do I think he was right to come out and say it? No, I don't think so. I think that should be kept behind closed doors. But, you know, he's been poor this season, but I've seen a stat that his average distance covered in the game this year has gone up slightly. His sprint distance was 15.1 per game, it's 14.8, so there's not much difference there. So he's trying.
This was him today, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Alone in the gym back at...
you knew that was coming out.
Yeah,
you knew he was going to do something like that.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one, isn't it, for all parties. Who won from that? So the club didn't win, the manager hasn't won, and Mo Salah hasn't won. So
I guess, no, absolutely. But I guess the club, and maybe the manager, will feel better tonight, won't they? Proved there's life without, have they?
He's not allowed a major situation to derail his preparation, his team. The most important thing is not about one individual, but it's always going to be about the club itself. And I think it's like they've like, well, okay, you know, he's one of our all-time greats. So we're going to handle this in a polite kind of way. So it's been dealt with internally. I was surprised yesterday to see him actually taking part in a warm-up training session. So it looks like they've already kind of gone past that hurdle of integrating him back in to a certain extent. But I think they did the right and proper thing. Leave him at home. How soon now they bring him back is the next question.
If they bring him back.
It's only one game, really.
It's only one game available. But I don't think I wouldn't like to see it end in this way.
No.
A player of this calibre leave for one moment of emotion where he got things wrong.
I mean, the leaving of players from clubs is never, or very rarely, is it?
Yeah,
entirely harmonious, is it?
Especially at that age, especially with his status, with everything that he brought to the club. That extension last season was, I don't think Liverpool could say no to an extension. I think they could not really, they had to say yes in a way. They gave him that. It just hasn't worked out. It's okay. You move on. In January, he's going to go to Saudi Arabia. This is really the only market for him. There's no other. I'm sure Robbie would have him at Forest Green, but apart from that, there's nowhere else he can go. But really,
have you had a look down the sofa?
Who plays on your right hand side?
But when Liverpool's poor performances, Salah seems to be the one that most people have said Salah's should be left out. Yeah. And there's been other players as bad. You don't see the headlines being created.
You can understand his frustration for sure.
True. Although others have been brought in and out of the team, and maybe
every player can be left out of the side.
Yeah.
But I suppose he's given it. It's a selfish view, isn't it, that he's given and shared with the public.
What made him great?
Shared with the public.
Probably what made him great.
But the manager changed the way that the team defends, and maybe the one weakness it shows up more is Salah, where he doesn't defend, and they couldn't really cope without that. With that change to the team.